Good evening, everyone. It is time for Wellness Wednesday. It feels like it's been forever, but it is time. My name is Tracy Berry McGee, and I am your host, also known as Divine T.
And I'm your co host, Yolanda Langford, and you know what they call me, Lady Yo.
That's right, Lady
I
O.
miss you, Tracy. I
I
miss
miss you
you.
too. Oh my goodness. It seems like it's been forever, but we've been very busy. We got things to do as always, and we got a lot of things to share, don't we?
Absolutely. Tracy, I want to say that we have been busy together and separately because we're always together, but there are often times that we have projects that are kind of solo, but we always keep each other in mind. So I just want to say right now, I appreciate you always having my back. I'm able to always call you. I look in the audience and I see you, and it's just always so wonderful to know that our sisterhood is just not a title. It
That's
is
it.
who we are.
That's it. That's it. We've been keynoting and emceeing and doing our thing. But it's Wellness Wednesday and it's Wednesday night. And I got to ask you, what's in your cup? What are you sipping on?
Let me tell you, Tracy, because we've been busy, I have kept this St. Louis water on my tap, honey. I definitely have. I'll tell you what, there's nothing like when you're speaking, Tracy, and you're up there about 30 minutes and you have to get some quench to your thirst and you have that water. But let me tell you, there's nothing like having a little Cabernet to cheers to.
All right now. All right
How
now.
about you, Tracy? How about you?
I wish I had a little Cabernet. I've just been dealing with my throat and everything. So I have some lemonade with some tea. You would think I'd have coffee, but I have some lemonade with tea. And I warmed it up and it tastes pretty good. It
But
does.
let me tell you, Tracy, we've learned that from all the artists we've had on. Jeffrey Osborne, we've had Shedrick Mitchell on, and they
Yes.
all talk about the different little elixirs of tea
Yes.
that get them through all their
Yes.
performances. So you're doing the right thing.
Yes,
Drink
and
your
plus
tea,
I've been
sis.
hanging out with my grandson, and he likes lemonade. So ain't nothing like a little lemonade and tea. And speaking of children, man, let me tell you all, we have some really great guests on today, don't we, Lady O?
Absolutely. We have from We Power, Paula Breon Vickers, and she's going to talk about what we all need to know. You know, as women, we think we know all about childcare, but let me tell you, there's a whole nother side to it. And that's just interesting to find out how the providers feel and what they
Yes.
need to enable us to be the best parents that we can. Who's our other guest, Tracy?
Yes, yes. And speaking of that, she's also an advocate. And so I like that she's going to talk to us about advocacy. And you all just going to get all the tea. We also have Tina Mosley coming up, y'all. After we show our interview with Paula, Tina Mosley's going to pop in. She's the co founder of STAR. She has so much history when it comes to
Yes.
all the things that she's done. She's the founder of a daycare and learning center. She's been in the business for over 28 years. But you know what? She has something that she's going to talk about. And we all need to be aware. So I hope that if you all are listening, that you all put in the chat National Day Without Childcare, because that's something that she's going to speak about after we watch our video with Paula Breon Vickers.
And
So,
let me tell you something, Tracy, that is big. I mean, you thought the boycott with Martin Luther King and the buses was big, but imagine a day without daycare.
Welcome. What's in your cup?
So what's in my cup is grounding. So looking at being reconnected to our community, reconnecting to our families, reconnecting to our lives. So I'm grounding both literally and bringing myself back, but also in like getting back with the earth and reconnecting in that way.
Stay grounded.
Stay grounded.
Stay grounded.
Stay
We,
grounded.
we think the same way. Tracy says always says to us, put your feet flat on the floor.
Yep.
Get
Yes.
grounded. Now, speaking of grounded, you are a mother and an advocate. How do you balance it all?
So that's part of it, right? So everything I do, I'm fortunate to have a village, and a village that keeps me grounded. And I said my affirmation word was grounded because when you think about things and how they are built and if they sway or if they are steady, what keeps me grounded is my community. So I have my circle of friends that are my mom friends. And then I have like some of my close friends that may not be moms, but they're people that are close with me. And then I have a couple of family members. I'm someone that doesn't have a huge family, but I have a huge family of people that are chosen. And so they help me through it all. So even in like coming here today and like even thinking through an affirmation word, because I think through everything because I have to, because other people depend on me. They talk me through things and say like, does it make sense? So having that focal point and that point to go back to and put my feet firmly wherever I'm at, and having people to help me adjust, help me in that way. But I have it because of community, and I have it because I'm fortunate that I have two amazing children.
Oh my, that's so true. And I think when you're a mom, you have to say, I'm okay with help. I need help. I know that for me and my mom, and I was a product of a teen mom, it took a village. And literally, it was like she said, family that we choose for real. I want to know what brought you into this work? Like, what allowed you to step into your power when it comes to early childhood education awareness?
So what brought me here was having two boys. So you've known me, and I know your daughter because I worked with Girl Scouts. My whole life, I have been a passionate Girl Scout. I'm still a passionate Girl Scout. I grew up, my grandmother was my Girl Scout leader. For 13 years, I was a Girl Scout, and then I went back and worked for the council for over 5 years. And in that work, I was happy. I loved empowering girls. I loved empowering girls to be strong women. And I thought my whole life would be that. I thought I would have this like railroad from like Girl Scouts through retirement. That's where I would be. And then I had two boys. And when I had the first boy, I said, okay, well, maybe I'll have a girl at some point, and my life work can still be empowering girls. And then I had a second boy, and I said, you know what, let me pay attention. Because I am starting to recognize like life is putting me where I need to pay attention. So when I had my first son, it was May 2020. And I entered the hospital right at the start of the George Floyd protests. And on social media, there was this big social media presence of I'm a mother of a Black son. And that was the first time it hit me that like, oh, this is a different responsibility. Like, it's one thing to have children, and then it felt like a different responsibility to have two Black boys. So that was my first kind of like, life might look different right now, Paula. Like, everybody knows life changes when you have kids, but when you have Black boys in a society that their childhood might not be safe or isn't safe, that's what brought me to doing this work. Honestly, if I had girls, I don't know if I would have been activated in the same way. I don't know if my power would have looked like this. It would have still been powerful, but it might not have looked like this call to really address how do we protect children in their childhood.
And speaking of that, what does early education, childhood education look like now? I know what it looked like when I was younger, but now they're wanting the kids to read a little earlier, to learn different languages. What does early education look like now?
So equity is a huge part of that.
And I'm going to answer this from the lens of Paula, the mom, first.
Okay, please do.
It looks like who you're talking to, because you'll hear different feedback from different people, and it really depends on the resources that they have access to. In a way, I'm fortunate because I have been in different spaces with children, so I know what quality looks like, but not everyone has seen that, right? So they may not know that they're not getting the best. They think what they have is the best because they haven't seen otherwise. Early childhood right now, of course, there is a worker shortage. So a lot of places are closed or not working at capacity. Our early childhood educators are not paid what they should be being paid. And I'm going to keep stumbling over saying early childhood. I'll say ECE because it's important not to call them daycares. I think when you start calling them daycares, it takes away from like the weight of what they're actually doing, because they are preparing our children to go into our schools and be successful. But here in St. Louis, up until 3, you really don't have any option that's a requirement or even funded for your child to go to an early childhood space. At 3, we start seeing like preschool or pre-K 3 classrooms, but that doesn't exist for birth through 3. So it looks like who you're talking to. It looks like the ability and the resources that they have. And that's where the conversation comes of communities that have been pulled of resources or don't have the same access to resource. That quality is looking different.
You know, over 20 years ago, I was the mental health specialist for over 3,000 families with the Head Start program. And that need is still prevalent today, but the resources look different. Talk to us about some of the opportunities or resources to support our babies.
So that's what pulled me into We Power and this work, because I started recognizing like I could do things for me as Paula and I could do things for my kids. So what does that look like? That might look like moving to where school systems look different or whatever. That's a very singular approach, right? And I recognized very quickly that that would not be the answer, because children are impacted by the children that they're surrounded by. Yes, so unless my children are also surrounded by other children that have their resources and needs met, then I haven't done my full job. So looking at what it looks like to win campaigns and looking at funding from the local and state level of what it looks like to provide those resources to these spaces. In 2022, We Power ran 2 campaigns. I'm saying help because this is before I was with them. I was a mom that showed up, and that's what really pulled me out. So we went, and I tell this story. So there was an older lady that called me, and she's on the phone, and I had been like ignoring these messages about like coming and showing up. I had been ignoring the messages, and this older lady called me, and I answered the phone, and it just felt like a reminder of like that grounding in community, because I was raised in big part by my grandmother. And so when she called, I was like, man, now I have to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's my baby.
It was a yes, ma'am moment. And I went, and it turned out that like we were going to go testify at a St. Louis County Council meeting. And I said, that's different. Like I was trying to figure out how to make my exit without being rude. Because that was very uncomfortable for me. Yes. And so something kept telling me like, Paula, nope, you're here. See it through.
Own your now.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable so you can.
Yes. So I went and we spoke to the St. Louis County Council, and we spoke to them really demanding these funds from the ARPA dollars be spent in supporting, that one was for wages in the TEACH program, so that our educators have people supporting them as well, so they're not always the ones that have to advocate for themselves, because how exhausting is that?
Right.
That they take care of my kids all day, and then they have to go advocate for themselves so that they can have life. Like what? That doesn't make sense to me.
She's a keeper to educators.
So looking at what it looks like to transform that is looking at getting that funding on a local and state level. So We Power, we won 2 campaigns in 2022. So over $5 million in St. Louis County, over $1 million in St. Louis City. And then we're gearing up for our big campaign for 2024 of $100 million.
Yes.
You say that lightly, but honey, you are doing it. You are doing it. Now, you talked to us about prior to coming to We Power, and now you have your new position. Talk to us about how that feels, how it feels to own your now.
It feels different, right? So I wasn't expecting to feel a little bit of grief, and I'm speaking to it because it's important. Because I think moms are like not told that they can talk about the parts of motherhood that aren't pretty and like first, and like we're celebrating the first walk and we're celebrating this and that. Some of it is also letting go of what we had pictured, or I'll speak for me, what I pictured for my life, and what my life would look like, but now also still loving this life.
Yes.
But there was an amount of like grief of, okay, well, the dream that I had for myself just now looks different.
It does.
But you're still dreaming.
Yes.
You're still dreaming. It just looks different.
Dreaming bigger and for more.
And it's bigger than you.
Yes.
It is.
I was going to say it's more weight behind the dream now. And I think that's the power sense, right? Because I was comfortable in my dream, because that dream was just me, right? Like if I've lived a beautiful life in St. Louis because of my community, but now the dream's not for me. Now the dream is like a responsibility to children.
Yes.
And that's where it's like, community. That's different. That's a different, so there was some grief, but then there was a lot of joy, because there's the sitting and feeling like I'm not doing anything, or I'm restless because I don't know what to do. And then there's the joy in knowing I'm activating my power. Like, I am doing what I can for my babies, and I'm doing it now.
Yes, and you know that old gospel song says, joy comes in the morning.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And I love that you say yes to doing the work. Well, we have a couple of yeses that we want you to talk to us about. I realize that our children do grow fast. We talked about this prior to this segment. Yolanda and I are grandparents. I'm Yaya.
I'm Yo-Yo.
That's right. And we are always reading to our grandchildren. I know Amir loves books, and Amaya will as well. But talk to us about your children's favorite books, or did you have a favorite author, a favorite book? But your kids, your babies are young babies now, and even so first we bought all these books that now the hardback books, and now he's finally realizing, like, yeah, read this book to me. Do you have a favorite? Does your boys have a favorite?
Absolutely. So my favorite growing up was The Snowy Day by Ezra Jacks. My oldest, so Parker, he carries around this like Discovery, the Science Channel. It's a book that is about ocean animals, and it's not a picture book. It's like it's an advanced reader book. I don't think he really recognized it, but he is so attached to it. Like, kids would be attached to like a toy or a pacifier, but he's attached to this book, and he calls it Bookie. And so everybody's like, where? Anytime he's anywhere without it, he's like, where's Bookie? When he goes to school, he puts it in his cubby. Yeah,
hey, that's not a bad thing, honey, to be attached to a book.
Yes, I actually think, in full disclosure, I think Paula gave Amir one of his first books.
Yeah,
I remember at his baby shower, and they did the trunk, and so that's important. That's important.
And you were saying your youngest son?
He loves anything Sesame Street, but his favorite book is any variation of Wheels on the Bus. Like, that is his jam. He gets to swing in his arms. Like, that is full on his jam. And we got this version from one of my friends in Cuba, and it's like in the village, and it's like a different variation of it. And he gets so excited. He gets to throwing them arms around
all through the town.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Next. Preschool teacher. Do you remember your preschool teacher?
I do, because I went to a in-home center 2 houses down from where I lived. Her name was Miss Ella, and it was Mom's Childcare. Wow. And I just remember it because I loved it. I went other places, but I didn't love them.
Okay.
But I just remember when I got to Miss Ella's, it was exciting because I was learning Spanish.
Wow.
I was learning like all of these things. We were going on field trips, and so now I'm like, this is what children deserve. Children deserve that.
Yes. And now I have one. Favorite game when you were a kid?
Ooh, probably hide and seek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. I got to shout out my son's preschool teacher. It was in home. In home is important in the community. And her name is Miss Patrice, but he called her Nanny. And he's 24 now. Same relationship.
I love it.
She's like his godmother. It matters. Early childhood, it truly does matter. Okay, our last one. Favorite childhood snack.
Oh, I know what mine was. I want to go here. Crackers with peanut butter.
Crackers with
peanut butter. And do you know why?
Butter.
Michael Jackson ate crackers with peanut butter, and that's what I loved.
But like saltine crackers?
Saltine crackers. You're right, girl. Nothing fancy.
Oh, wow. Mine was definitely graham crackers. I love the graham crackers. And you could like break it, and you could have the little squares and everything. What about you?
Mine was animal crackers, and I liked acting out like the little scenes with animals.
No, the animal crackers with the frosting or the plain animal crackers?
So they were in the box, the
little
circus
box. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, those are the plain ones. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Paula, we thank you for being an advocate for early childhood education, for being a mom that's definitely owning your now. Are there any tips you can leave to the new moms out there? Because we got some new moms that are looking.
Yeah. I would say the first thing is circle yourself, or get women that have children around your child's age, like in your network, because there will be struggles that only they will understand. Accept help, because that was something that was really hard to lean into, because we were built to think we needed to be Superwoman. The last thing is we have a Power and Policy Action Group that is led by me and another member of the coalition for We Power, and it's the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30. And it's another space that you can come and hear things that you could do within your community, hear where you can step up or just where the need is. So sometimes just taking that first step of showing up. I can't be the grandmother that calls every single person. And I don't know if that person will ever be able to call every single person.
That Paula spoke about some of the issues and concerns that our state is having, as well as other states. Talk to us first about STAR and what that means to you. What is STAR all about?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity for one thing, ladies. STAR is an acronym, and S stands for staff coaching, T stands for training, A stands for advocacy, and R stands for resources for the early childhood educator. And we started in 2018, right? 2019, right when COVID started. And as soon as COVID started, what was it? The CDC was saying, close your doors. Child care programs, close your doors. Oh, no, don't close your doors. We only want essential workers. We need essential workers to go to work. So we need you guys to open your doors again and care for their children. And we were saying, but what about us? And we were getting up every morning, putting our feet on the floor. Am I giving my life to my job or my job for my life? Because then we were thinking they're going to look out for us. They're going to knock on the door with their hazmat suits on, and they're going to drop off buckets of PPE supplies, right? That's what we were thinking. And then we turned around and nobody was there. Nobody was giving us any supplies. Nobody was giving us any resources. No one was giving us anything. Wow. So we had to go and research for ourselves. STAR was like, honestly, Wonder Woman. We put our capes on. We were knocking on doors for the programs that did stay open, because some programs closed their doors. Some programs' doors are still closed today. And for the ones who did not open, we called them and said, hey, can we have your PPE supplies? Since you're not going to open, because there are some that are still open, they need your supplies. And they said, come and get them. And we jumped in our little vans and our little cars. My co-founder is Adrienne Pennington. She jumped in her car. I jumped in mine. And we drove around town and we picked up those supplies. We picked up diapers and wipes and half a cans of Lysol spray and Clorox wipes, and because you know what happened to the store shelves, right?
Yes,
right,
empty.
So you were a shining star as things looked a little dim. You were a shining star in your early childhood education community. That's fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
And it was amazing because when one did it, the next one did it. Yes. And then the next one did it. And then when someone in our little network group found Lysol, we put it on a group chat. Hey, Charles got Lysol. Who needs some? And how many ever, because they put limits on them. And I'm standing at the door with a buggy full. So come on out and get your quantity.
Yes. So, you know, it's something to be said about villages. And we often say it takes a village to raise a child, but villages as adults and in our perspective work communities are important.
Yes, ma'am.
They are. It was something that when Paula talked about the policy and action groups and you all being able to come together, you all are coming together to discuss a project that's coming up this Monday, correct?
Yes, it's called A Day Without Childcare. And Paula has been a beacon.
Hold on. Let's give that a moment to marinate.
Yes.
A day without childcare.
May 8th. All day, close your doors. Early childcare, close your doors. Just think about it, America. Without childcare, where would we be?
You know, that's something to talk about, and the reason why that's so important. I know that we were talking about the policies and the advocacies. This is something that has happened nationwide, correct?
Yes. Nationwide.
So if I'm correct, and please correct me if I'm not, this started a year ago.
Yes, ma'am. This is our second year.
This is the second year where we're calling attention to what if early childhood education facilities and centers weren't open. Where would you be? Where would your children go? Where would your children be educated? And I think that's important for us to talk about too is, often people say daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Early childhood education, because you are the foundation of what our children are going to be. You're where it starts. You're not just housing kids.
No,
you're
ma'am.
educating kids.
Yes.
You're educating the parents also at the same time about the needs.
We're not just child care, we're family care.
Yeah. And I think that we have to look at the fact that you're a resource to the families, and the families need the resources. But talk to us, what brought this about, the National Day without child care?
COVID, the same thing we were just talking about. When they said basically we weren't essential workers. You need to go to work. You need to open your doors. And so we're expendable. Is that what you're saying? So when that came about, so what would happen without childcare? So for the people who said that, you have nannies, you have people who can take care of your children. But what about your aides? What about your secretaries? What about the people that work in your homes? They have childcare.
Right.
They couldn't come to work.
Right. So on this upcoming Monday, February the 8th, everybody's hoping that we bring awareness to what this National Day without childcare would look like. And what can we do as advocates to make sure that we get this point across? Should we share the flyer? Should we share statistics? What type of things can we do to advocate or help with the policies that are being in place?
Well, we can go on their website, the Community Changers website, and there's a pledge. They're asking that we take the pledge, saying that we will talk to our local officials about how essential early child care education is, and that we want a true cost of child care.
Yes.
Because we don't have a true cost of child care. We have come up with a cost of child care to depict our environment. I'm charging what my environment can pay, right? Not what I can really pay. I'm an accredited program, but I'm in the Normandy School District, which is an unaccredited school district.
Yes.
Right. So I can't not charge what my true value is, what my worth is. All of my teachers have certifications.
Got it.
I can't charge that. I can pick up my place and go out west and charge what my true worth is, but that's not who I want to serve.
So you're also saying not only is early childhood education and this day is about the children themselves, it's also about the people who are employed as caregivers.
Yes, and especially the Black and brown.
Especially the Black and brown. You're shining a light on how important the individuals who choose to be providers in our early education childhood. And, I have to say, during my time when my children were small, I did not work outside the home 9 to 5. I was fortunate. However, my early childhood education for my children was important, not only for me having a moment as a mom, but also the fact that kids need to have that socialization.
Yes, ma'am.
They need to have that socialization. They need to have that education So, they're looking at kids to be able to read before they go to kindergarten these days.
Yes.
Back in the day, back in the 60s, you can send your kid to school and they didn't have to know how to read. But now kids are speaking a second language at 5 years old.
They are.
Yes,
they are.
But you know what, Lady O, I can even go a different direction. It's not even just about the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. It is about social and emotional development.
Yes.
We have teenagers who's walking around drive-bys and just senseless murders and killings. They're detached. They're emotionally detached. Where did that come from?
Yeah, we have to really talk about.
Come back.
Yes.
Come back to us. Come back to us. Yes. Something happened way back when. And they're very intelligent. So it's not about ABCs and 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Social and emotional support.
Yes.
I talk about social emotional learning all the time when it comes to our children in elementary, middle, and high school, that we have to understand it's not just about making the grade. It's also about being connected and showing what empathy looks like. So with this day without childcare, we want you all to take the pledge to understand that equity for childcare system is built on racial and gender justice, thriving wages for our childcare providers, and affordable childcare for our families. Like everybody needs to be able to show up and show us what the village looks like. So we hope that you all take that pledge and make sure that everybody is aware of it. Again, let everybody know the date and when is this going to happen.
May 8th, which is this coming Monday.
May 8th.
And even if you still feel that you cannot close, take the time and sign the pledge. Take the time to share it with your friends and family.
Yes.
Take the time to email your local officials and tell them you want fair wages for early childcare and childcare costs for all parents, not just parents who is in the ratio for subsidy, but parents who are paying out of pocket. Because when childcare isn't, we can't get our wages, we can't get our livable wages. Who are we passing it off to? You all.
Yes.
And that's not fair either.
And
so
it's not just
about the providers, it's about parents too. We should be arm in arm, hand in hand, fighting this fight.
Yes, and you said something there, livable wages.
Yes. Livable and they don't
wages.
Look at it that we should be receiving livable wages, because where did childcare start? It started on the backs of slaves and immigrants.
Yeah.
And they don't look at us that we should be receiving livable wages.
I understand.
Because where did it come from?
You're right. Man, you know what? I have my t-shirt on today that says I am essential.
I love that too.
But I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, and Paula, and the meetings that you all have every Wednesday. You guys are literally having a meeting tonight, and that's important. That meeting happens every first Wednesday of the month, right?
Yes.
So we'll make sure that everybody puts the information in the chat so they can stay connected to you and get the message out that literally this upcoming Monday, there is a space for you all to stay connected and understand that it is National Day without childcare. And if you all don't have the resources, then like if you're gone, then what would that day look like? And this is how people will get the impact. Sometimes we got to show them. There's also going to be a virtual celebration that they can RSVP for on May 8th as well when you sign the pledge. So hopefully you all go to the resources and stay connected. We got to share. So share some more. If you all want to connect with Tina, you can go to, is it www.starforeceinc.com.
That's our website.
That's it. That's it. And
I want everyone to just, as they say in the one movie, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Now open them and see what it looks like with a day without childcare. It's not just your what am I going to do with my child? It is the entire day would be shifted.
Exactly.
And I think we need to realize that. Whether you are a 9-to-5 person, you're a midnight hour person, you may not have a career or a job to go to, but your life will still be impacted if you did not have early childhood education. And on top of that, your child's life will be impacted.
Totally.
Socially, mentally, and eventually financially. Because, a lot of people, that's what they measure. But if your child is behind when they start, they will, that financial inroad will be a little bit different. So I just want everyone to just take a moment, close your eyes and say, what does my life look like without child care?
Right. Yes. You said it. You said it.
So true, Lady Yo.
Yes.
Well, Tina, we want to thank you for owning your now and for making sure that you continue to be an advocacy. Like, you've been doing this work for almost 30 years now, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger because you are the village. And so we thank you for owning your now, and everyone else continue to share. And of course, if you all want to find out more about what we're doing here, if you want to be a part of the Own Your Now show, we're here on Wednesdays for Wellness Wednesday, making sure that we focus on wellness, opportunity, knowledge, and empowerment. Lady O?
I send you peace, love, and positivity.
And remember, tomorrow isn't promised, so own
your
now.